town, the pretext was I was going to be talking to a group of maybe 30 freshman congressmen and help educate them on economics. So I figured maybe I would take some time out and fly out here because I thought that was a worthwhile cause, because there's such a lack of economic understanding on Capitol Hill. But unfortunately, all the congressmen canceled. So there was one that was there, but he Chafee, but Chafis. But, he didn't stay for my entire talk. Maybe I scared him. But anyway, so I'm talking to you guys. But anyway, before. Well, we still had there was a decent crowd there. I think you have more people here, but there were still some people there, other than the congressman. But as I was walking in, I heard the speaker before me was talking about the Patriot Act. So I talk about that quite a bit. I talked about it when I ran for Senate. One of the things about the Patriot Act that people probably don't know, but it's probably the worst part of the Patriot Act, because I live with the Patriot Act every day as a broker. And the Patriot Act personally cost me a tremendous amount of money. I mean, it cost me hundreds of thousands, maybe $1 million a year to comply with it. And it's a significant amount of money. I have several employees who basically their whole job is to comply with the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act has made the brokerage industry much more costly. In fact, had the Patriot Act been in existence when I started my firm, I couldn't have afforded to start it, because I couldn't have afforded to comply with it. But more than just what it cost me to do it, I don't like doing it. I feel bad about myself, about my country, because what the Patriot Act requires me to do is to spy on every one of my customers. I'm required to, at my own expense, because of course the government doesn't give me any money, I have to spend it. I have to put together elaborate methods of spying on my customers. And my clearing firm has to do the same thing. I mean, we're duplicating efforts. But what we have to do is we have to look at all of our customers and try to look for what they call suspicious activity. And if we find it, we have to file a suspicious activity report. And when the regulators audit me, they look over all my procedures to make sure I am adequately spying on everybody. And what we're looking for is really evidence of tax evasion. The whole idea is we're supposed to look at all of our customers who send us money and question where they got it. And if money is coming in and out of the accounts in a questionable way, we're supposed to alert the government so that they can tell the IRS. And we're supposed to look at all the, and when money goes out, where's it going? We're supposed to pay attention, ask people, what do you want the money for? If money comes in, where'd you get this money? It's all, and none of this could have been passed in peacetime. It all got crammed through because of the war on terror, and they were able to pretend that this was patriotic, but it has nothing to do with terrorists. It has everything to do with just the government getting more control over our lives. And I hate the fact that we no longer have any financial privacy. When you talk to a banker, when you talk to a broker, he is spying on you. He is looking at everything you do and everything you tell him. And if you tell him something, or if he sees something that he thinks is suspicious, he is required by law to call the government and tell him. And if he doesn't do it, he can be fined. He can be jailed. So that's the country that we live in. That's what the Patriot Act did. That's what the Anti-Money Laundering Act did to the United States. So it really is a horrific piece of legislation. And nobody that supports that bill should get voted or reelected. It's a shame that they're reinstating even the parts that they are. But I don't even think the anti-money laundering part is still on. I don't even know if the anti-money laundering aspects of it were even part of that. I think that's kind of permanent. So we're stuck with that. But anyway, maybe the good news is pretty soon we won't have much money left to launder anyway. So, which I guess could bring me to what I should probably talk about, and that is the economic crisis that we are about to head into. And it's not, this is not something that's going to happen far into the future. It's happening. I mean, it's going to unfold over the next few months, few years tops. I don't know how exactly when it's going to happen, but it's already started. And people think that the economic crisis happened in 2008, and now it's over, and now things are getting better. No, not at all. The economic crisis began in 2008, and it's going to get a lot worse. And the problem is, the reason it's getting worse is because of everything the government has done to make it better. In fact, the 2008 crisis was a result of what the government did in 2001 to stimulate the economy. It was the government stimulus, both from Chairman Ben Bernanke, from Alan Greenspan, and from Congress and George Bush. It was all that stimulus that gave us the housing bubble. It wouldn't have existed without the stimulus of cheap money from the Fed, without low interest rates. That's where the adjustable rate mortgages came from. That's where subprime came from. That's where teaser rates came from. They all came from the low Fed fund rates. And of course, it wouldn't have existed without Freddie and Fannie and guaranteeing all the mortgages so that lenders didn't really care if people could repay the loans because the government was going to do it. But it was all that artificial stimulus that inflated that bubble and sent us on a gigantic global spending spree where our savings rate went through the floor, our trade deficit went through the ceiling, and we spent trillions of dollars buying things we couldn't afford that we didn't make. But the bigger problem of that stimulus is that it further distorted the economy. See, every time the U.S. economy has tried to go into recession, the government has come to the rescue with stimulus. But what the stimulus actually does is interfere with the recession. The recession is actually the good part of the cycle. The problems are always created during the boom. That's when we do a lot of stupid things. That's when we make mistakes. We correct the mistakes during the recession. But when government has policies that are aimed to fight the recession and put an end to it, what they're really doing is inhibiting the cure. They're preventing the market from restructuring the economy in a sound way. Now, what is the real problem with the U.S. economy? It's structural. That's the problem. And the structural problems resulted from all the government stimulus of the past, plus a lot of other regulations and subsidies and taxes that have distorted the way the free market would allocate resources. So because of all these distortions, the U.S. economy has got, it's all screwed up the way things are allocated. We have too big a service sector. Too much of our resources go to education, housing, healthcare, and not enough goes into manufacturing and goods production, wealth creation, those type of activities. We haven't spent enough on infrastructure. Money has gone to where the government wanted it, not where the market would have put it. Also, we have too much spending. Everybody spends too much, individuals spend too much, the government spends too much, nobody's saving. And a free market economy lives by savings. It grows based on savings. Contrary to what they say in the media, economies don't grow because people spend money. It's because economies grow, that's the reason people are able to spend money. You can only buy things once they're produced. And in order to produce things, you need capital, you need equipment, you need tools. And where does all that come from? That comes from savings. So the way economies grow is people don't spend money. The money they don't spend, those resources are now freed up to be made available to businesses to make the investments, to produce the products, to turn real demand into genuine demand, because you don't have demand without supply. But we've got it all backwards. But the question is, how is it that we're able to survive when nobody is saving, and how are we able to consume so much when we're not producing the things that we buy? ABC ran a show a couple days ago, and I think they're doing a special all next week, Made in America. They went like on a scavenger hunt, trying to find a product that was made in America in Washington, D.C. And they finally found one. They found a baseball cap. But everything else was made in China or someplace else. And they were going to the gift shops, on Capitol Hill and all the monuments. This is here. They couldn't find anything made in America, but they found one baseball cap. But of course, the baseball cap that was made in America was $20, and the practically identical one that was made in China was $10. So which baseball caps are people going to buy? Right? But how is it then that we're able to live the way we do, even though we're not saving and we're not producing? Well, there's one reason. The rest of the world is saving. The rest of the world is producing. And they are allowing us to have what they produce. We're not buying it because we're not paying for it with export.